MS200T. Legendary saw. I love them. Top handle saw. Lovely saw. The 2511Ts, yeah, they're coming around. But right out of the box for the average Joe, they're a dog. They're no good for nothing out of the box, my opinion. As opposed to the 200Ts, they were animals, or they still are animals actually, not ported. Right out of the box, they're wicked machines. I'm going to show you how I like to do these. I like to give them speed, you know, more chain speed, more power, but still very reliable. You still want it to be able to start first pull. You don't want, you don't want to be hanging up in a tree and, the saw's shutting off beside you all the time. So you want it to be easily tunable. You tune it once there in the warmer weather. You tune it once in the winter, and that's what we're looking for out of this saw. I don't know if I said it already, but this video is going to be a two-part video, just because I'm going to get more into depth with these saws, or with this saw anyhow. And I'll show you, what I like to do with them. And there's lots of different things. Actually, I have a cylinder here I can start showing you guys a couple different things with. We'll start with the exhaust. The exhaust is super small on these. They can be opened up a lot more without even touching your numbers. Just that alone helps a lot. You don't even have to raise your exhaust or anything. Just that is a major upgrade. Biggest thing with these is you need lots of air to go in, lots of volume. So it's not necessarily the port size on your intake that needs to be changed. You just want a lot of air and gas to go in at once, and you want a lot of fuel, excess fuel that didn't burn. You want it to be able to bounce back, burn a little bit, but you also want a lot of exhaust flow. So air in as quick, air out as quick, if that makes sense. And the transfers, you can do quite a bit with the transfers too. You can open up a bit more than what they had originally, but the main part with these 200Ts, my opinion, is the exhaust. The exhaust needs to be opened up. It's going to be a bit louder, yeah, but yeah, you gain power. Anyhow, we'll start ripping into this. I'll probably cut some stuff out. You don't need to see how to take apart the saws, I don't believe, but should be a good build. I always enjoyed building these saws. Just have an old box kicking around that I throw all the nuts and bolts in so it doesn't get all chaotic on the bench. Usually if you take these apart and you're porting them, you should know where most of the parts go after, and most of the screws and stuff. But you know what they say about the difference between a good mechanic and a bad mechanic? A bad mechanic forgets to hide all the missing parts, all the leftover parts, I should say. That was something that I've heard a long time ago. It's actually kind of funny. But anywho, the top handle saws, they're a bit trickier to get at everything, and a little bit more of a pain in the butt to actually time them, and you got to remove a lot more stuff, which kind of sucks in one way, but can you do? That's how she goes. This saw is going to be no base gasket, because I don't want to do machine work on the head. I don't want to shave the head down or anything. So that's the way that it's going to stay. So I'm not even going to check the numbers until I pull the base gasket off. I'll pull the base gasket off, and then I'll check my numbers after. And we'll go from there. I'll write it down in the book, and I'll figure out what kind of numbers that I want to run in the saw. I forget exactly what numbers these saws like to stay with stock. I have it written in my book. I haven't done one of these in probably a year now. The last top handle saw I did was, it was either a 2511T or a 201. Still, I don't remember exactly which one I did last, but anyhow, it's probably been like 6 months since I've touched a top handle saw, let alone a 200T. Which I can see how much fuel's in there, because, well, bone dry already, perfect. Let's pull this carburetor off. These small screwdrivers are the best to pull these carburetors off. You can take your throttle linkage off, and you know, if you have a stuck fuel line or something like that, sometimes these aren't opened up in a while. Little tiny still screwdrivers or smaller screwdrivers, they work the best for that, in my opinion. Sometimes they're a pain in the butt. There we go. Let's get this fuel line off. Carbs off. I always like to take these off. Don't even try to keep them on the handle whenever you take your handle off. That and the little metal metal boot holder there, intake boot holder. You know, the weird thing still has these guys. Take them off right away too. And this, your claps ring there. If ever you take one of those out, remember to put it back in. I've had that whenever I first started doing up saws. I've forgotten to put one of those back in one time, and the boot actually collapsed in on itself and caused a major air leak. It didn't blow up, but it was tricky to figure that back out. But it's all things that you learn whenever you do this type of stuff, eh? Okay. I like working on these, but I also really don't like working on them. Kind of a pain. Should have blown all this off before starting to work on it, but I'll strip it apart and I'll clean it then. I'll clean it after it's all apart. There you go. That's the way that I like to take the handles off. I really don't like taking these friggin' things off, because this is a nightmare trying to put back in. This is easier. This works better for me. Maybe you're supposed to take that off first. I don't know. I've always done it this way, and it makes it a lot easier to put back together, and it comes off all in one piece, so you don't have to worry about dropping any. There's springs in here. There's one spring here, and there's a spring over here too, and it's a pain in the butt to put them back in. I like to take them off like that. Okay, so now we're starting to get down into the heart of things. Put that back in there. Looks like he's going to need a fuel line, because that one's starting to get a little hard. Let's pop his boot cover off. You just give it a little prise all the way around. Don't just go off of one corner and reef on it, because sometimes they actually crack. So you just work it all the way around. Slower is always better taking these off. There you go. See, a lot of times if you try to just pry on the one corner and you can't get your screwdriver in the backside or whatever, they'll actually crack, and you'll get an air leak over time. I'll leave the boot on there for right now, and I'll just take off the gas tank now. I also prefer the Huskies because the still uses the Torx there, and they're all right, you know. I don't. I prefer the Huskies, the Husky style. Oh yeah, and you got to pull the flywheel off too. That's right. Perfect. That's what you're looking for. So now you can pull this off. Sometimes you got to take off the exhaust, but take your boot off too, actually. You got to be careful taking the boots off. And somebody's been in here before, because there's silicone there, and I don't believe stock came with silicone. I don't ever remember there being silicone there on the intake. So I think this thing has had an air leak before, and somebody's fixed it. There you go. Now you have your cage gas tank off. Now you're down into the meat of things. So let's go ahead and pull this exhaust off. Take a look, see what she looks like. Well, it's never been ported, so nobody was ever in there before, so that's good. Not that it looks like, anyhow. That's good. Let's go ahead and switch this around. That was not on there very tight. Actually, I'll keep those bolts out. There, pull the gasket off. Give that just a quick wipe. Make sure nothing gets down there. Yeah, nobody's been in here before, so that's good news. I'll just go ahead and pull the rings off right away. With these 200T rings, you got to be You got to be pretty delicate with them. I find them, the stock ones anyhow, I find they're a little weak. If you try to bend them too much, they'll break, as opposed to like the Husqvarna versions. Husky rings, the OEM rings, they're a lot stiffer than the Stills, I find. My experience with them. Get some of the dirt out there first. Okay, top and bottom. This way. Now that I have the gasket out of there, I'll be able to, I'll probably just throw 2 bolts in there instead. What I'll do is I'll put it in here. I'll put the put your piston stop in, of course. My spark plug trick I don't think is going to work on this one. Oh yeah, we will. Okay, now you have your piston stop in there. Just gonna move this. I'll leave it there for now. Okay, now you got your piston stop in there. Let's zero this. Okay, right there. Take the piston stop out after you zeroed your flywheel, zeroed your timing wheel, sorry. Let's figure out these numbers. So we got our numbers from the 200T. The exhaust cracks at 101. I like that number. That's a good number for the exhaust for this saw. That's without the base gasket. That's base gasket delete. So it was probably 100 before deleting the base gasket, somewhere around there anyhow. Transfers open up at 132. I like that number too. And the exhaust, or not the exhaust, the intake, it's a total duration of 152. Those are good numbers. This was a strong saw out of the box, but I think the only thing that I'll really do to this saw, to be honest with you, is probably open up the exhaust a lot more than what it is. And the transfers, I'll actually do some transfer work. Not the upper transfers, just the bottom transfers. I'll open them up a bit more. And we'll go from there. I'll probably open up the windows on the piston a little bit, not a whole lot, just to get a little bit more of a snap to it. But Yeah, the numbers are sitting pretty good actually, just by deleting the base gasket. So I'll take this off the vise and clean up the bench a little bit, and we'll get to porting. Figured out what numbers that I want to do with this saw, but that'll be the next video, because I'm going to I'll videotape a bit more on how I like to move my hand and stuff like that. Anyhow, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.